Hello, I'm João Santos from the University of Vila Real, Portugal. I'm the project coordinator of CLIM4VITIS Project. We are developing twinning activities related to climate change impacts on European viticulture, and our aim is to develop an integrated approach where we can integrate crop models applied to grapevines, climate data, and assess climate change impacts in different perspectives and in the different regions of Europe. We are a partnership that involves not only my university but also the University of Florence, the Potsdam Institute for Climate Research, the LIST Luxembourg Institute for Science and Technology, and SPI, which is a consulting agency.
My name is Vittorio Marletto. I work in Bologna, the environmental regional agency called ARPAE. I am an agroclimatologist, so I've been working 30 years in the field of agricultural meteorology.
I'm Giovanni Cappelli. I currently work at CREA in Bologna, and my research interests deal with the development and application of simulation model at large scale under climate change.
Claudio Cassardo, Department of Physics, University of Torino. I am studying meteorology, climate and atmospheric physics, and I do numerical model, and in particular recently I am working in the climatology of vineyards and the crop modeling.
I'm Antonio Bonfante. I'm a researcher of National Research Council of Italy. I'm an hydropedologist, starting as an agronomist, and after I've done a PhD on applied pedology, and I work on crop applications, climate change, and also to climate change.
My name is Federico Spanna, I'm an agrometeorologist. I work for Regione Piemonte, settore phytosanitary service, and I have to provide services for farmers, agrometeorological service and phytopathological services.
My name is Giovanni Matti. I'm an associate professor at the University of Florence. I'm studying viticulture. Actually, I'm a grapevine physiologist, as I can define myself.
I am Marco Bindi from the University of Florence. I'm a full professor of applied climatology. My field of interest is the relationship between climate change and agricultural crops, dealing also with mitigation and adaptation strategies.
I am Marco Moriondo, a researcher from the Institute of Bioeconomy, that is in Florence. It is an Institute of National Research Council. My activity is focusing on the impact of climate change on crops and on modeling, and also developing some empirical models to predict the impact of climate changes on crops.
Climate change is impacting agriculture on the whole. Viticulture is particularly interested by climate change because it produces quite a lot of money, and so every time it is hit by climate change and by extreme events, you can have considerable economic damage. So it is important to take into account climate change in modern viticulture.
Nowadays, it is important to have advanced tools to assess the impact of climate change on crops, because they allow exploring conditions that are different from the current, and so they are a cost-effective solution compared to the usual field experiments.
Today it is important to have some model instruments that can help the farmer to increase the quality of the production, because climate change is working very quickly, and sometimes we need to do some change in the management practice or in the production practice, and the farmer should know the situation maybe before doing this kind of techniques in order to project which is the best technique to apply.
We have to consider that the viticultural sector in Europe is one of the most important agricultural sectors, able to cover about 5 to 4% of the global consumption of wine. And this sector in the future will be really affected by climate change. This is due to the fact that among the high-income crops, the grape wine is one of the most challenged by climate change. In Southern Europe, in our area, also in Italy or in general in part of Europe where currently we have semi-arid conditions, there will be an increase of temperature and also an increase in water availability that will follow in some critical periods for the crop growth, the plant growth, wine like berry growth and ripening, with important effects on yield and on quality of yield. And then it's really important to identify some tools that, or some approaches, and in literature there are a lot of approaches with several levels of complexity that try to face this important issue.
It's very important to make studies and researches about climate change in order to understand what are the influences of climate change on the different components of agro-ecosystem. Understanding this for the medium period and the long period is important to assess the services and also to provide and plan programs, activities for mitigate and adapt to climate change for vine growing sector, but also for all the sectors, agriculture sectors.
Well, today is very important to have measured data to understand what happened in viticulture. We are facing a climate change, but we are facing also a big change in all the methodologies, in all the technique applied in viticulture. So we have to measure what is actually applied. I can make an example. If I say today is hot, maybe I can understand, but somebody else cannot understand. But if I say that today there are 29 degrees, everybody can understand. So we have to measure what happened, we have to measure the behavior of the plant, we have to transform our observation in numbers to have a real understanding of what's happening.
About climate change and grapevine, we believe that it's very important to have the possibility to use all the new methodology and the new technology, because as we know, climate change determines some new events, especially in terms of extreme events that has been not recognized up to now. So the possibility to have a new instrument, a new sensor, a new technology is very important to understand what is happening and what will happen in the future.
There is the need to develop approaches, new approaches and methodologies to speed up the adaptation process in viticulture. The expected climate change for the future is actually threatening, and there is this need, urgent need for adaptation, especially for the wine growing region producing optimum wine, premium wines, and so on.
This kind of activities, such as the workshop we have here in the University of Florence, is very important because we want not only to promote capacity building actions, but also knowledge transfer to the stakeholders and also to the researchers, students, and people that are interested in viticulture and climate change.
Well, it is very important to exchange information and research results on this field, viticulture and climate change. So events like this one in Florence is important to put in contact a rather dispersed community of researchers and practitioners in the field of viticulture.
Nowadays it is important to promote the knowledge transfer between the different stakeholders of the agricultural sector, because farmers do not have experience of situation they are facing due to climate change. So it is important to develop integrated solution with the collaboration of all the specialists who work in agriculture. So these kind of events are important because it is possible to share advanced methodologies to assess the impact of climate change on different crops.
I think it is important to do this kind of conference in order to mix the knowledge and to disseminate the specific knowledge in the several fields. Because we do some research, sometimes our research remain close in our academies, while it is important to distribute. And also it is important to collect initiative of different scientists, because each one can do a new contribution, and if we share and if we discuss each other, we can increase our competence and we can improve our results.
The CLIM4VITIS purposes are really important because the interaction between research world and the farmers and product industry on one, it's really important. We have to try to fill the last kilometer between the research and the partners, because sometimes these are two words that are parallels. There's no interaction. In fact, this kind of meetings are useful because the researcher can understand what are the key features for which the farmer are interested to understand climate change and how they can face this current problem and also the future problems due to the impacts of climate change on vineyards.
CLIM4VITIS is a project that I think it's very important to put all together and share information and disseminate researches, results and services among the operators, agricultural operators, and in order to make a comparison and increase the knowledge of all the operators and to exchange experiences about services, because it's more and more important, and the regulation, actual regulation, European regulations impose to improve services regarding correct use of fertilizers, correct use of phytopathological products, to improve also the best practices for cultivating.
Viticulture is a strange word. We have different behaviors in different kind of soils, different kind of climates. So it's very important to understand what happened in all these different areas. It's important to interchange all the informations, interchange all the applied techniques, interchange all the ideas we can have for the future. So this appointment like this one, like this seminar, this workshop is very important, because we can change our ideas, interchange our ideas, and understand better how to face the new problems that are arriving.
We believe that it's very important to have the possibility to exchange knowledge between the scientific community and the stakeholders and the end user community. So in order to do that, it's necessary to organize a meeting, a workshop, seminar, and event in which the two components, the scientific community and the stakeholders community, can discuss together in order to understand which are the products, which are the study that the scientific component can provide to the end user, and at the same time it's also important to understand from the end user what they really need.
Before to develop more approaches and methodologies for assessing the impact of climate change in agriculture, we need, as initial step, to understand the feeling of the growers, what's going on and what they expect for the future, what they have at disposal for promoting adaptation. That's why this kind of workshop and dissemination activity is important for this project.
We had an important experience developing a decision support system in viticulture, especially for adaptation to climate change and to support precision viticulture. This was developed during a Framework 7 European research project, and the system is now called Precision Wine, so you can understand from the name that what we try to do is to improve precision in practice in growing vineyards and also in managing them throughout the season, and also using forecasts in order to prevent problems with the crops.
Compared to the other simulation platform, Biome allow for building modular simulation modeling solutions, which allow to decompose the system under study in their basic components, and so it fosters the reuse of algorithms already implemented in other components, and also the share of knowledge, allowing the possibility to extend models and algorithms from third parties.
Evine model need some observation carried out in vineyard for the calibration. It is important to do a very good calibration of the model, because in this case you are able to say that the model is working well. I know that sometimes these observations are difficult to do, but we need at least 3 or 4 years of observation in different years in order to be sure that we are not calibrating the model in one specific year that can be maybe not standard in the meteorological point of view. I think that there is some data necessary for the model calibration, but the amount of data is not so huge, so it's feasible to apply the model and to calibrate for other varieties in Piemonte region and also in other regions.
About climate change and farmers, we can separate two kind of strategies, one oriented to the planning and other oriented to the management, that face different spatial and temporal dimensions. This is really important because with the planning strategies we are oriented to understand what will happen at the end of the century in terms of identification of impacts on current wine growing region, or also identify new regions for the grape wine, and also to make an evaluation on different scenarios in terms of management. While most interesting part for the farmer is the part about monitoring strategies that are addressed to face the current effects of climate change in vineyards. For example, the increase of temperature on berries that have a direct effect on quality, on anthocyanins production in berries. This is clear that when the temperature move up on 55 Celsius degrees, there is inhibition and also degradation of these compounds in the berry, and it's not good for quality. For this reason, we can use different approaches of management, like shading nets or spray that cover the beds. Obviously, in the future, if we face at this level the climate change, we can also think on the management and changing in the raw exposition. And this is really important to put together the management, the knowledge of environment, the application of sensors like in precision agriculture. But all of this is good if it is posed in a context in which we know the system behavior, and we can use this data collected in field to give purposes and option to the farmer to face climate change.
The phytopathologic models are some important tools that we have to program the rational use of phytosanitary products, to make a rational use of these products. We don't have to spread these products that have a great impact on agriculture and on the environment. And so we have to improve services for agriculture, farmers, technicians, in order to make these treatments more and more precise, in order to apply the precision farming. The future policies for rural development program will be oriented more and more towards precision. Precision must be correlated with time, to location, to use better use of resources with rational use and not spread and waste of these resources in order to increase the quality of production. So we, at the regional level, we must apply and traduce these tools in services, and also to disseminate and divulgate the use, the right use of these important tools that are correlated with climate, with evolution of pathologies and insects and so on.
Well, in viticulture we are producing a lot of waste, a lot of byproducts, and in those byproducts we have a lot of important components that can be lost. By using these byproducts, it's important because we can obtain these important components that can come back both in the vineyards, but also can be utilized in the wine chain or in the food, in medicine, cosmetics, and other fields.
At the moment there is a mismatch between process-based model and empirical approaches. Basically, the process-based model is more suitable for local scale applications, since to provide reliable results it requires a number of input parameters that are very difficult to find on a larger scale. On the other side, the empirical model are more suited to give a global overview of the impact of climate change, provided they are fitted with reliable information